Leosha regenerates her head. She becomes furious and calls Zeon a bastard. Zeon destroys Leosha's body again and again. Leosha gets scared to death because no matter how far she runs away, her body is getting destroyed endlessly. Leosha had never experienced anything like this since reaching the highest realm, the pinnacle of blood magic. Leosha wonders how she ended in a situation like this. She gets terrified as she feels that she might actually die today. She then realizes that there is no might, or maybe she is actually going to die. Zeon again starts to use his power of Black Star Fall and kills Leosha every time she recovers. Leosha begs Zeon to stop. Zeon questions Leosha what she meant by the word stop, because she has many lives. Zeon explains that the attack Sangria Requiem is one of the unique magic spells of the Witch of the Heavenly Slaughter that takes a part of the life of a killed opponent as her own. Leosha gets horrified as Zeon is killing her endlessly. Zeon thinks that an oath or contact engraved in the soul has never been broken, as normally it's really difficult to manipulate one's soul directly. But Zeon concludes that this place is a dimension where only the soul exists, and this is where he would teach Leosha how to be obedient to her master together with absolute fear. Zeon says that for now, he would reduce half of Leosha's life source. Much time has passed since this incident. Zeon was able to engrave obedience to Leosha, but it still needed some work. The Grand Soul Annihilation Circle was destroyed because it was unable to withstand the power of the Black Star Fall. According to the novel, Leosha would be awakened as the Witch of Demise and will become a huge hindrance to the hero's party. But now that Zeon has intervened in this matter, he says he wouldn't let that happen. Leosha has a desperate look on her face. She realizes that she was utterly defeated, and she can feel the seal of submission engraved into her soul. She wonders where Zeon came from, as she never witnesses such power until now. Leosha stands up and says to Zeon to not let his guard down from now on, because one day she would release this seal imprint on her soul and will rip Zeon's head apart. Zeon answers that she can try her luck any time and orders her to call him master from now on, and Leosha agrees to that. Leosha stops and says that she has one last question. Zeon permits her to ask. Leosha explains that from the moment she was born, she liked killing things. She says that it's not a hobby, but her fate, which is the reason for her still being alive. Leosha adds that the stronger her prey are, and the more they are in numbers, the more joy she feels. She asks that if she follows Zeon, how many lives she would be able to kill. Zeon answers, while smiling, that the quantity will be more than enough to satisfy her. At the ruined palace, Rain's father asks Rain how long will she stay like this. Her father reminiscent that 3 days have passed since Rain was discovered alone, unconscious in the Black Forest. There were only clues and traces of a fierce battle in that place, but not a member from the party was seen. He understands that this is not the right time for him to ask Rain about the incident earlier. He says to Rain to at least eat something for her sake and leaves the room. Rain releases that it's all her fault, all that happened because she was weak and couldn't do anything. Rain blames herself for everyone's death. Rain says that the people she lost were all who had been with her for decades and who were like family to her. Rain realizes that everyone died not because of Leon's betrayal or the small number of the subjugation unit, but it all happened all because of her being this weak. She clenches her teeth as she feels frustrated and says she must get stronger, whatever it takes. Rain feels that Leosha isn't dead yet. She says that someday she will rip this witch into pieces by her own hand. She remembers that the man who came to save her was definitely Zeon Harness. She says that there is a high chance that Zeon was also killed by the witch, but maybe there is a slim chance that he survived. Rain wonders if Zeon survives, then maybe she will be able to meet him again. At the Information Guild, named the Eye of the Moon, the waiter, who happens to be a messenger, gives a report to the branch manager named Evelyn. The report includes that the Black Forest completely disappeared, along with the dark energy which was spread all the over forest, was entirely washed off. Aileen questions the messenger to confirm whether the witch inside the Black Forest is also dead or not. The messenger answers that his informants couldn't go inside, so they are not sure enough to draw any conclusions, but by seeing that the evil energy inside the forest is gone, maybe the witch is dead. The messenger concludes. Aileen wonders how such a strong figure, known for decades as the Witch of the Heavenly Slaughter, disappeared. She feels that she cannot take this matter lightly. The branch manager says that perhaps the royal blood of the Agnes who came to visit her that day maybe was the reason for the witch's disappearance. She wonders how strong a person might be able to kill the Witch of the Heavenly Slaughter. She conceives that it should only be possible for that royal blood to kill the witch if he is the direct descendant of the Agnes family, because each of them is a freaking monster with unimaginable potential. She concludes that, in order to find the reason how and why he killed the witch, she first needs to find out who he is. The informant says that he found out through investigation that the person in this picture is none other, the Prince Zeon Agnes, who is also called the Imprisoned Prince. At the Pointer Palace, Imperial Wizard Troop Captain of the 4th Division of the Icarus Fernando Pringham says to Fredo that he would only leave this palace after seeing the prince with his own eyes. He adds that he needs the prince's signature for the succession ceremony. Fredo thinks that it's been almost a week and there is no news about the prince's whereabouts. He worries for the prince's safe arrival. The captain reminds Fredo that today is the last chance for the prince to participate in the succession ceremony. He adds that if the prince doesn't sign this paper by the end of today, he will be disqualified in the succession ceremony. The captain conceives that he has been coming here for 3 days in order to get Prince Zeon's signature, but the knights always make excuses that the prince isn't feeling well, or the prince is very busy in his basement for his training. The captain concludes that Prince Zeon is not at the Pointer Palace, and to be exact, maybe he is not even at the Royal Palace. The captain, whose name is Fernando, thinks that a royal blood who hasn't gone through a succession ceremony isn't allowed to roam around freely in the outskirts of the streets, and if Fernando can prove this thing, he will be doing the third prince a great favor. Fernando asks Fredo, "Where is the prince right now?" Fredo answers that the prince isn't feeling well, so he is resting in his bedroom. Fernando pushes Fredo and runs towards the prince's chamber. Fredo shouts him to stop. Fernando smiles while running in the stairs as he thinks that today is the end for Zeon Agnes. Fredo worries that the prince isn't in his room. Fernando goes near the prince's room and shouts that, "Your Highness, he knows that this is rude of him, but the matter is urgent," and he opens the door. The prince was sitting in his room and he says to Fernando that if he knows it was rude of him, he shouldn't have done this. The captain asks for the prince's forgiveness. Fernando gets quite terrified as he thinks that everything he heard from others about Zeon Agnes were completely false because of the aura and pressure the prince is emitting is not of the imprisoned prince he knows and heard about. The prince moves his hand forward asking for the paper to give his signature. Fernando walks near the prince and gives him the paper. The prince reminds Fernando that he doesn't like anyone who touches his stuff while signing the paper. Zeon warns Fernando to be extra careful about his behavior towards the prince. After the captain's departure, Fredo asks the prince where he was for almost a week as people were looking for him for several days. Zeon thinks that it was quite close, as he almost couldn't make it in time for the succession ceremony. He thinks that Leosha must have also arrived at the capital, and by the time she finishes the order the prince gave her, the prince would have already finished the succession ceremony. The prince asks Fredo that the thing which he ordered is ready or not. Fredo questions whether the prince is referring to the 1,000-year-old ogre's heart, which was given by Princess Evelyn. Fredo says that of course the thing is ready as per his order. Zeon says that he has to completely absorb the power of the 1,000-year-old ogre's heart, and it was worth waiting for it to be completely processed. By absorbing the power of the heart, the prince will decrease the penalty he will have on his body. And he says that before the succession ceremony, he has to reach the 2-star mastery of the Black Star Fall. At the Knights' hideout, these knights, who are the real assassins attacking the Pointer Palace, are working under the third prince. The assassin says that the third prince is really angry as they have failed twice to kill Prince Zeon, according to the report they received from their fellow assassin, which said that the Pointer Palace has a strong figure who have been backing Prince Zeon. One of the assassins says that the prince is as good as abandoned, but why there is a powerful figure protecting the prince, he wonders. The main assassin, who happens to be the knight at the Pointer Palace, tells everybody to stop further discussions and says that they should focus on the present orders they got from the third prince. He thinks that this would be their last chance to finish their order. The assassin in charge tells everybody to pull themselves together. The bald assassin asks how much time is left for the succession ceremony to take place in the royal palace. The main assassin says that it will happen today, and just like always, they would receive the information about the route and complete the given order. Suddenly, the assassin in charge hears a voice saying, "Who is the one providing them the route?" By hearing the voice, the assassin quickly swings his sword. The unknown voice they heard was Leosha's. Leosha praises the assassin for having quick judgment, but she says it still isn't good enough. All of the assassins positions themselves to kill her. They asks for Leosha's identity. Leosha answers that it would not matter whether they got to know her name or not, because everybody in this room will die today. All 4 of the assassins charges at her. Leosha smiles while thinking that if she gets orders for killing people like this, she would gladly accept it. Leosha uses her snake to kill one of the assassin. The other assassin jumps over the snake and tries to attack her. Leosha uses her other hand and slashes the assassin's throat. 2 of the assassins blocks her with their knife, and the main assassin cuts her head off, while regarding Leosha as a monster. The assassin in charge tells the other to take care of the body, but suddenly he hears Leosha's voice again, even though her head was still on the floor. Leosha restores her head, and by seeing Hat, all the assassins get horrified. Leosha says that they didn't even seen the real monster yet, but today she would show them what a real monster looks like. She releases around 7 snakes at the assassins. The assassins gets all terrified upon witnessing their death in form of them. Lastly, Leosha finishes her job happily as she got a wonderful meal today. The succession ceremony, the qualification test that the direct descendants of the royal family take to become the emperor. The ceremony happens when the direct royal blood reaches the legal age. But not all have to take the succession ceremony mandatorily. Even the non-direct royal blood scattered around the empire can have the succession ceremony. They can't inherit the throne, even if they pass, but the reason why they still take the test is simple. The only way for the branched royal blood to enter the royal palace is by passing the succession ceremony. At the royal palace, where the succession ceremony is going to take place, one of the candidates says that she didn't accept Veil Elones to set foot in the royal palace. He replied that he also didn't accept her, Lynette Elones, to attend the ceremony. Lynette says while smiling that she couldn't miss this opportunity. She says that she thought the succession ceremony wouldn't be happening for a while. Veil Elones replies that he was quite surprised too. He says that he heard the imprisoned prince will also have a succession ceremony this time. Veil adds that the prince is the worst pure blood in the history of Eaea's empire, the most incapable and the shame of the royal Eaea's family. Veil says that if the rumor are true, there is no reason for a weak prince like him to take part in the succession ceremony. Lynette says that Prince Zeon has a reason to participate as he is from the Agnes family, but it's better for him not to take part in this ceremony. Lynette thinks that with Zeon's meager skills, he could even die in the middle of the succession ceremony test. He doesn't have the qualifications that an emperor should have, the charisma that can lead the people, the judgment of being able to differentiate truth from lies, the tolerance of being able to embrace the whole world, and the most important thing that the Agnes royal family prioritize, overwhelming strength. Lynette says that such tradition has been continued since the first emperor. Thus, the succession ceremony test, which is required to become an emperor, also prioritizes strength, and if you aren't qualified enough, it can lead to death. But there is no history of someone's death in the royal palace till now, and Lynette wonders what the young prince is thinking. Vale says the prince will not be safe even if he hides like a rat in the den, but he wonders why Zeon is drawing everyone's attention now. The other candidates notices that everyone is here except Zeon. They assume that Prince Zeon is scared now, and maybe he is converted, in fear under his blanket in his bed. They thinks that this would be the first time the ceremony will occur without the direct descendant, as Zeon is the only direct descendant of the Agnes family. They laughs while thinking that it's better for them. The person in charge of handling the ceremony announces that the ceremony will start as Prince Zeon is not here, and in a second, an announcement is made that Prince Zeon Agnes has arrived. The door opens, and the prince steps in. Lynette gets surprised as she was seeing a totally different person she heard from the rumors. She sees that the prince looks very different and dangerous, and the aura he is emitting is truly like a ruler. He wonders, is this really the same guy who was regarded as the weak imprisoned prince and often said as the shame of the royal blood? Prince Zeon walks inside the room and says to start the ceremony. The person in charge for taking the test announces that Prince Zeon is here, and now he will explain the rules about the succession ceremony, and it will commence here in the place of qualification. Prince Zeon was almost late for the ceremony, as he was enhancing the potency of the Black Star Fall to reach level 2. Now, his body will be able to withstand its power, as he was finally able to reach level 2 after absorbing the 1,000-years-old ogre's heart. Prince Zeon came prepared because the Book of the Hero of Frosimar didn't mention any information about the succession ceremony, because the original story begins with the death of Zeon Agnes, so the ceremony never happened. Prince Zeon thinks that all the people will feel contempt and surprise as they are thinking that Prince Zeon will not be able to succeed in this ceremony. Prince Zeon thinks that his recent actions might not be enough to change this people's heart and how they view him. The person in charge announces that only the top 3 people who will arrive at the top of the floor will be passing the ceremony, and the test of each floor will be overlooked by the supervisors. Lastly, he wishes good luck to everyone. Prince Zeon says that he knew that the rules will be like this. It's just as he expected. The examiner says that he met Prince Zeon a few months ago. He remembers that Prince Zeon's had those eyes which weakly stare at the floor, and a body that would break with a slight push. His sword and magic skills were all terrible, and he was clearly the shame of the royal blood, according to the examiner. But presently the examiner says that he felt the naturally flowing scent of a conqueror that was coming out of the prince's whole body, and the silent stare that looks down on everything. The examiner noticed that Prince Zeon also has a slightly trained body now. He wonders what really happened to Prince Zeon this last month to change him this much. He says that this won't change anything because this succession ceremony is a huge trap. A trap that the young prince can't ever escape from nor go through. He concludes that it's not just a few people who want Prince Zeon dead. Prince Zeon will eventually die in this ceremony, no matter what. At the test, everybody starts running towards the stairs reach floor 1 first. On the other hand, Lynette notices that Prince Zeon is not in a hurry and taking another route. Vale asks Lynette whether she is going with him or not, because he is going in either ways. Lynette answers that she would go with him and follows him. Prince Zeon walks up the stairs while thinking that each floor will be testing the qualifications to become an emperor. He reaches a dark place, a floor of flesh-eating bugs. Prince Zeon thinks that this is a little hard for the first test, and he is sure that the supervisors have left some clues for completing this floor in a simpler way, but he would not pick the easy route because the Black Star has already reached level 2. Zeon says that Black Star reaching level 2 is not an easy feat. Black Star level 1 is one world, and being able to reach level 2 is like opening a new world. He unlocked a new power, the Dark Ocean. This power denies all existence. He says that he just have to extinguish each and everything. Prince Zeon wonders what faces the supervisors are making right now. He walks up another stairs inside the floor and witnesses a huge maze in front of him. Is this the starting point, he wonders? And suddenly, a Death Knight swings his sword at the prince. The Death Knight attacks Prince Zeon without stopping. Prince Zeon uses dark vision and finds out the core of this Death Knight. As the knight charges towards the prince uses his new power and completely annihilates the knight. Only cracks of slashes were left on the floor. Upon defeating the knight, this time 4 of the knights appear all together. Prince Zeon laughs and says that the supervisors are being too obvious while trying to kill the prince. Prince Zeon expected this kind of situation, but he didn't know that the supervisors would go this far. Zeon conceives that the supervisors are intentionally showing that they don't have any plans to spare the lives of the participants, but to know the truth, they are planning to kill Zeon. Prince Zeon thinks that there is no way a test that requires a bare minimum in air would be this hard. Prince Zeon perceives that they are using Death Knight to kill him because they don't want any witness. Zeon says that this would be fun, because now he doesn't have to abide by the rules either. 3 of the knights moves forward to attack Zeon. The knight swings his sword at Zeon, and Zeon dodges it by moving his legs slightly left. On the other hand, at the maze, Lynette is extremely exhausted as tens of thousands of flesh-eating bugs rushed at them as soon as they entered. Lynette says that this definitely not a level for a succession ceremony. She survived until now because she hid herself with a skill, or otherwise she would have become a corpse at the beginning. Presently, Lynette is being chased by a Death Knight. She got surprised to see a undead in the middle of the royal, but now she looks terrified as this undeads are stupendously strong. She wonders whether all the succession ceremonies have been like this. This is just like killing the participants, she concludes. Lynette barely managed to escape from the knight, but she witnesses that Prince Zeon is completely surrounded by 4 Death Knights. She watches Prince Zeon is not losing at all against the Death Knights, and to be exact, he is actually winning. Lynette sees that Zeon's movement aren't just natural, but beautiful. At that moment, she wonders whether a mere animal of land can touch something like a star by staring at it every day. It is hard even for Lynette to chase Zeon's movement with her eyes. Lynette thinks that Prince Zeon was hiding his powers until now. Those strengths and skills that Lynette is now witnessing can't be made in just few days. She concludes that everybody, including the royal family, are being fooled by Prince Zeon. Lynette wonders why Prince Zeon endured all the harassment and insults, even if he had this overwhelming strength. Prince Zeon thinks that a simple attack won't work on an undead, and he have to completely destroy it. Prince Zeon uses a new power storm. He says that he have to remove the magic that buffs their ability first. Zeon charges at the knight and cuts its head while dodging another attack from a knight. As one of the knights was going to attack Zeon from above, Prince Zeon accumulates the dark energy in his hand and releases it at the knight, completely destroying the knight. Another knight swings his sword at Prince Zeon, and Zeon releases another dark energy at this knight. 3 of the knights were deflated by Zeon in mere seconds, and as for the last one, Zeon knows that it's attacking from the back. Lynette shouts at Zeon to be careful, but Prince Zeon didn't listen to her voice because of other noises and completely annihilates 4 of the knights. Prince Zeon says that the supervisors are unlucky as they have lost the Death Knights without going anything from it. He says that the supervisors have to pay for their crimes today, and as they started it, Prince Zeon will end it. All the supervisors were watching Prince Zeon's power from a crystal. They witness a power they have never seen before. The examiner wonders whether the blood of Agnes finally awaken at Zeon's body. The examiner gets furious as his plan failed. He tells the others to notify Prince Zeon's current location. He asked again and turns around as there was no answer from the back. He sees that his comrades is already dead, which terrifies him. Prince Zeon's right hand was already soaked with blood of the examiner's comrade, and Zeon replies, whether the examiner is referring to the guy he just killed. At the third prince's castle, the informant reports that the knights which he put to kill Zeon are all dead. He says that excluding the ordinary guest floor, there were no traces of any humans. The informant adds that the weird thing is that there were traces of a fierce battle but no blood. The prince wonders whether the blood tower is involved in this matter. The informant bows his head down and says that they are still looking at the matter. The third prince of the Agnes Empire didn't expect to lose such useful cards like this. The prince says that recently matters regarding Prince Zeon are not looking good these days, and if Prince Zeon passes the succession ceremony, it will be a nuisance, as things will be changed by his family on his mother's side. The prince thinks if Prince Zeon got lucky, or is he hiding something? He gets furious and gives an order to the informant to take care of the matter regarding the succession ceremony. At the qualifications test, the examiner orders his comrades to kill Prince Zeon. He thinks that it's better that Prince Zeon came here all by himself. Prince Zeon announces that assassination attempt of the direct blood and manipulation of the succession ceremony are both punishable by death, and he kills one of the people. The others get shocked, and one of the supervisors swings his knife at Zeon, and the prince kills the supervisor. Another supervisor uses fire to attack the prince, and Zeon dodges it. The one who attacked the prince feels terrified to face him. The supervisor didn't expect Prince Zeon to attack right away, but the supervisor thinks that as soon as Prince Zeon touches this field fire, his whole body will burn into ashes. Prince Zeon charges straight at the supervisor, as the fire didn't affect him in the slightest, and kills the supervisor. The examiner gets astounded as he thinks that the power Prince Zeon showed against the Death Knights were not the full extent of his powers. The examiner gets on his knees and wonders how they are supposed to even kill a monster like that. He realizes that they can't kill the prince, and it was impossible from the very beginning. Prince Zeon walks near the examiner and says to him that they must have a boss who ordered them to do this, but Prince Zeon tells him that right now, the boss is not the one whom he should be afraid of. The examiner gets horrified as tears come out of his eyes. He says that he would tell Prince Zeon everything about the person who ordered them to kill the him. Zeon says that the examiner doesn't have to explain anything, as Prince Zeon already knows who the main culprit is. Zeon cuts the examiner's head off. After killing the examiner, Prince Zeon looks back and tells a dead body to stop pretending to be dead. The body transforms into a monster. The monster says that he didn't expect the mere imprisoned prince to harness such powers. Prince Zeon noticed that this supervisor is a monster when previously he crushed his heart and a weak evil energy flew out. He perceives that this monster is stronger than the last one he faced at the Pointer Palace. The monster says that upon witnessing a demon inside the royal palace, Prince Zeon didn't even flinched, so he knew it all along. The monster was planning to leave quietly, but it changed its mind and says that he has something to ask. Prince Zeon replies that the monster doesn't have a say in this matter because Prince Zeon will decide its fate. Meanwhile, at the maze, Lynette is running as she lost Prince Zeon. She thinks that she would need Prince Zeon in order to survive this crazy succession ceremony. The only problem is that she doesn't know where the prince went. Lynette Ilones senses a danger behind her and quickly slashes her knife at it. Vale blocks her attack with his sword and says to Lynette that she should at least check if it's a monster or a person behind her. Lynette seems confused to see Vale alive, and on the other hand, Vale thought that Lynette died on the first floor. Lynette questions whether Vale have seen Prince Zeon. Vale answers that he didn't know, but he thinks that Zeon died already. Lynette says that Prince Zeon is still alive, and in order to survive this weird ceremony, they have to find him. Vale questions Lynette what that she meant by it. Lynette says to Vale that they would need Prince Zeon because he is the strongest of them all. Vale asks Lynette what nonsense she is blabbering about. On the other end, the monster screams, calling Zeon an insect. This monster is stronger than the low-class monster Zeon defeated the other day, but it's much lower than the middle-class monster described in the book of the hero of Frosimar. Prince Zeon thinks that this monster's healing power cannot be compared with Leoshina's, as it's quite weaker. Prince Zeon realizes that if the battle drags on, the people on the outside will certainly notice and will come in a flock, so that's why he has to end it quickly. The monster attacks Prince Zeon as it seemed Prince Zeon was distracted. The monster says that he would not even leave the prince's body behind today and throws a punch at Zeon. After throwing the punch, the monster notices that his attack didn't hit Zeon, and Prince Zeon vanished in front of him. Prince Zeon gets behind the monster and says that previously what the monster said to Zeon was Zeon's line because he would completely annihilate the monster today. Prince Zeon destroys the demon's core. In the next moment, Vale watches Prince Zeon defeating the monster and shouts, "How did the monster enter the Imperial Palace?" Prince Zeon notices them and turns around. Both Lynette and Vale flinched and looks down at the ground while thinking that it was a one-sided massacre. Vale wonders how strong Prince Zeon might be to have taken care of a monster like this all by himself with such ease. Prince Zeon points at Lynette and says that she is second, and then he moves his finger towards Vale and says that he is third. Prince Zeon congrats them on passing the ceremony, and as he killed all the supervisors, there is no one left to announce the result, and they were the first 3 people to reach the top floor. Prince Zeon walks forward and stops to say that today's incident is a secret, and both the siblings agrees to that. Zeon leaves the area. On the next scene, Prince Zeon is traveling in a car. Prince Zeon changes his black robe into a new dress because of Fredo's stubbornness. Fredo made a huge fuss about it. He said that now he can die happily as he witnesses Prince Zeon entering the White Star Palace while he is still alive. The issue of assassination of the royal blood was a big news, so the matters of the demon tribes entering the royal palace was overlooked and neglected. Prince Zeon's eyes fall on the bracelet, which is a protective charm given by Priscilla. Priscilla said that their engagement has yet to be cancelled, so it's right of her to give Zeon something as a present for passing the succession ceremony. Prince Zeon suggests her to give up if it's her attempt to keep staying at the Pointer Palace. On top of that, he says to Evelyn Agnes sitting beside him that she really doesn't have to come. Princess Evelyn questions if something happened at the succession ceremony. Prince Zeon answers, no. Evelyn says that she felt a demonic energy coming from the Palace of Qualification. Prince Zeon replies that he doesn't have any idea about it. Evelyn says that the White Star Palace is a hell because it's teeming with power-hungry specters ready to climb over each other for authority. Brothers scheme to kill one another and power, hungry brokers, weigh the flesh of others among themselves. Princess Evelyn asks Zeon whether he could survive at the White Star Palace. Evelyn knows that Zeon is now a completely different person, but she still worries for her weak little brother, who always receives her help, and on top of that, she is certain that someone is targeting her brother. Prince Zeon replies that he is not going there to merely survive, but he is going to devour it. Prince Zeon gets out of the car. Evelyn says that due to inspection, she cannot accompany him any further and says Zeon to take care of himself. At the White Star Palace, a person named Ronier greets the young prince and says that he is assigned to serve the prince. Ronier says that he would escort the prince immediately. The more Prince Zeon looks at this place, the more familiar it seems to him. Except for the slight color difference, it is very similar to the palace he stayed in when he was the emperor. He wonders, is it because the novel used the real imperial castle as a motif, but he senses something beyond this explanation. Ronier says from this point on, Prince Zeon has to go alone. The security knight at the emperor's chamber announces that Prince Zeon is entering at the emperor's chambers. Prince Zeon enters and meets Emperor Urdius Agnes, the sovereign of this enormous empire and the owner of this world. Prince Zeon observes that the Emperor has a shabby appearance compared to his grandiose titles. He remembers that there is about 2 months left for the Emperor to die. The Emperor opens his eyes and asks Zeon who he is. Leosha arrives at the White Star Palace as per Zeon's orders. Leosha thinks that the assurance Zeon gave her was certainly not a lie, but it's not to the point that satisfies her. Leosha says that she has killed many people recently and hopes that it will only get better. The security knight blocks Leosha and asks her to confirm her id or to show a permit for entering the palace. Leosha says that she doesn't have any of those. The knight replies that Leosha will not be permitted to enter the palace then. Leosha says that her master ordered her to enter the imperial city. The knight asks for her master's name. Leosha forgot her master's name, but she showed through facial expression that he is skinny and a scary man who opens his eyes like this as Leosha is showing. The knight thinks that this girl is a complete weirdo and tells Leosha to return. Leosha gets angry and tells them that if they are going to be like this, she has no other choice but to face them. At the Emperor's chamber, Eaea, the Emperor of Agnes, says that the person standing in front of him is certainly not Zeon, Agnes. Prince Zeon observes that Eaea is sharp and wonders is this the authority of a ruler, even though he is on the verge of dying. The Emperor says the constitution a person is born with cannot be changed, but he notices a completely different and strange aura coming from Zeon's body. Prince Zeon perceives that the Emperor is the only one who can notice Zeon's change the most. Zeon says that as soon as the Emperor noticed that Zeon had no talents, Eaea was the one who confined Zeon to the Pointer Star Palace and turned a blind eye to the countless assassination attempts. Zeon asks Eaea who is responsible for the Emperor's current state. Eaea says to Zeon that he thought Prince Zeon was on the same side as his enemies, but now he realizes that he was mistaken. Eaea shares a story about an incident that happened 400 years ago. Eaea says that since the first emperor, Agnes founded the empire, only one kingdom existed in the world, but one day, at the southern end of the continent, a place called the World's End, a demon realm emerged. No one knew why the demon realm emerged, but the demons born from the demon realm invaded the continent and the war between demons and humans began. Numerous heroes were born and disappeared. However, about a century ago, the demon realm abruptly stopped all invasions. No one knew the reason, but humans were happy and rest assured. But they shouldn't have done that, says the Emperor. Prince Zeon says that it is because the demon realm never stopped the invasion, they just pretended to stop it. Eaea says that Zeon is right as the demons secretly infiltrated and hid themselves among humans, gradually to the point that no one noticed. And by the time Eaea discovered the truth, he was already poisoned by the demonic poison and couldn't do anything about it. He says that if he had attempted to root the demons out clumsily, the empire would have collapsed in an instant, and adding to that, there is no accurate way to differentiate the demons among humans either. Prince Zeon asks Eaea, is this the reason that he has not selected a successor either? Eaea replies that yes, because he cannot ascertain among the candidates who had come in contact with the demons, and says that maybe some of them have already become the hands and limbs of the demons. Eaea asks the one who disguised himself as Zeon what he is planning to do with the imperial city. Zeon answers that he is going to devour it. He is going to devour the White Star Palace, the imperial city, and even this empire, without any exceptions. By hearing the answer of Prince Zeon, the Emperor laughs, while saying that it's better for Zeon to devour this palace rather than it having collapsed due to the demon realm's invasion. Then we have complete silence for a moment, and the Emperor asks Zeon to find the shadow because they're the final watchmen who have been passed down through generations to prepare for such an event. Eaea severed his relationship with the shadow, the moment he was poisoned to avoid being caught by the demons. But he says that Zeon should be fine. They are also known as the Eternal Shadow. They are the limbs of the Emperor who operate in the shadows, the intelligence organization that would form a double wall with Eye of the Moon later. Prince Zeon replies that he would surely find them. The prince thinks that the more information he has, the better it would be for him, as he cannot always depend on the novel, and by saying this, Prince Zeon leaves Erdius's chamber. After the prince's departure, the emperor laughs and says that he would be looking forward to what Zeon does in the future. 2 advantages are granted to those of the imperial family who pass the succession ceremony. One is the audience with the emperor, and the other one is a place called Starry Dreams. It's a place that can't be infiltrated unless they are from the Agnes's direct descendant. Upon reaching the Starry Dreams, Prince Zeon meets with Eaea, the warehouse keeper, who greets the young prince. The warehouse keeper congrats Zeon for passing the succession ceremony, and she says that this place is where all the treasures beyond his imagination lies, and the best of all the treasures in the entire world. She says that he can only take one item from this place. Prince Zeon asks the housekeeper that this isn't all there is to it. She says that of course not. But the treasures further inside are steeped in myths and legends, so the weapons are said to choose their masters. If an unchosen forcefully tries to use the weapon, they may lose their lives. The warehouse keeper asks whether Prince Zeon wants to venture inside even after hearing this. Prince Zeon tells her to take him inside. Eaea says that she understood, and she bears no responsibility if anything happens to the young prince. Prince Zeon enters further inside, along with Eaea, and looks at the heavenly fall sword Rigveda, one of the 3 mythic grade weapons in the greatest treasury, the Starry Dream. As he was going to touch the sword, he senses his own sword, Eaea, which he used to use when he was the emperor. He wonders how could the sword he used when he was the emperor exists in this novel. Eaea says Zeon not to touch this sword, as it belonged to the sword that was once used by the first emperor of the Agnes Empire. It wasn't put there to be taken by anyone, and tells him to watch out, and we witness a black aura coming out of the Eaea.